A story that has dominated the week. It exploded in on Thursday and took over all the airwaves across the media. Of course, you know the story I'm talking about. It's the encounter killing of Asad Ahmed, the wanted son of gangster Atiq Ahmed. That happened in Jhansi, and every aspect of that killing has exploded out from the headlines, triggering many debates, politics and news stories. One of them is about extrajudicial killings, because like most headlines these days, this one has polarized as well. Are extrajudicial killings okay? Is this encounter something to be celebrated? Is there a depleted sense of faith in Indian law and order, leading to so many people applauding the encounter killing of a wanted gangster? All of this is on the table this week right here on Democratic Newsroom. I'm Shiv Arur. I'm joined by Preeti Chaudhary, Poulomi Saha, Gaurav Sawant and Akshita Nandagopal. We're going to start off with this to see what everyone thinks about it. There were visceral reactions to begin with over the killing of a gangster, but what does it really tell us about society, about law and order and this country in general? Gaurav, starting off with you. You covered this story all day on Thursday. Your initial thoughts when you heard the story breaking and your thoughts thereafter.
In this particular case, let's talk about who are the individuals who've been neutralized. The individuals were seen on camera killing an eyewitness on camera, not just killing him but also creating an atmosphere of fear. So what did they do on camera? This is not source-based information. This is something that you and I can all see. They overtake a car, hurl bombs, shoot at an eyewitness in a murder investigation, chase him down into a lane, ensure he's dead, and kill two other police personnel who are involved in his protection. Those individuals, when challenged by the police, according to the police, opened fire at the police, and in retaliatory fire, they've been neutralized. Now, there is due process of law. That due process of law will ascertain whether this was a genuine encounter or a fake one. But to term every encounter fake and professional breast beaters come out and cast aspersions based on the religion of the victim or the person who's dead just shows that the system is very rotten and needs to be set right.
Preeti, initial thoughts on the encounter?
You know, the way I see it is, there's no sympathy for dreaded gangsters, and there shouldn't be sympathy for dreaded gangsters.
Yeah.
And when you come on to, okay, so if there's a version to be believed, which is the STF versus the gangsters, and the STF I wouldn't want an STF personnel to take a bullet. I wouldn't want a cop to take a bullet, and if he needs to shoot first, then he needs to shoot first. What I think as a country we should not be okay with is, yes, no sympathy for gangsters, but the self-congratulatory, the celebrations at the back of it, where many have gone ahead and especially also from the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, so many leaders, I can't, I can go on and on and on. You have Keshav Prasad Maurya, you have Shalabh Tripathi, all of them, where somewhere down the line, it's Mahant ne mitti mein mila diya. I'm just quoting. All of that we hear. That a lot, Mahant ne mafia ko mitti mein mila diya. You have Dr. Shalabh Kumar Tripathi quoting the Gita, talking about how this is, so many other BJP leaders. It's, the good has risen in terms of there are a lot of BJP leaders. It's not that the Samajwadi Party is not. So the sheer fact that you have an Akhilesh Yadav who's tweeted out and saying that bhaichare ko BJP chot pahunchana chah rahi hai. But the BJPs also know better. If the Samajwadi Party is saying this, you have enough BJP leaders who've gone on record and made it communal as well. So
how is mafia ko mitti mein mila diya communal? I fail to understand.
I'm not saying that's communal. I'm saying there are, it's self-congratulatory.
Why not? Evil is being destroyed.
Well, okay.
No, but
the way,
you can't.
I have a very basic one thing. I don't want to celebrate.
Okay, let Preeti finish.
Let me finish and you can go on.
And then Akshita, yeah.
Nobody's getting into that. The fact, it's a very simple fact. You can't get into, ultimately what is it? It is extrajudicial. It's for now, the Supreme Court has always mandated that anything which happens in terms of an encounter, there's going to be an investigation. So let there be an investigation. Am I saying that this is staged? I don't know.
No, but we don't know yet if it was an extrajudicial killing, because it was part of the law enforcement process.
It was, but ideally they should not have been killed.
I think the question now is whether it was an encounter in which the police was challenged, or it was a fake encounter?
It's open to an investigation.
Yeah, that needs to be investigated.
I have a very basic premise in it. Will I believe the STF? Would I prefer an STF personnel to take a bullet instead of a gangster? No, I wouldn't. You know, this guy has 100 cases against him. So, fine. But what I'm not okay with is the chest beating with many people. The minute it happened, Jai Shri Ram, that's communal.
How is Jai Shri Ram communal?
In this?
Jai Shri Ram?
In this?
Jai Shri Ram is communal?
You have Assad, who is Atiq's son, who is a Muslim, who has been killed.
So, एक मुसलमान मर गया, तो मातम मनाएंगे? अगर आतंकवादी मरा है, अगर एक कथित रूप से आतंकवादी मरा है, अरे अगर वो विकास दुबे मरा था, विकास दुबे मरा था, उसका धर्म तो नहीं देखा? आप लोग अपराध में भी धर्म देखते हैं, अपराध में भी आप धर्म देखते हैं। असद मर गया तो जय श्री राम नहीं बोल सकते?
Is it because he's Muslim or is it because he's a gangster? Make up your mind.
Mind is made up. Gangsters will be neutralized.
So, how is Jai Shri Ram a part of that?
The problem is people are so used to...
When Assad is killed and you say Jai Shri Ram, are you saying that's not because of Assad's religion?
No, it is not. It is not. It is not.
One second. Why
I am sorry, and Jai Shri Ram is not even the issue. That is exactly how communalism is brought into an anti-terror or anti-mafia operation.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
So
no, that is not. I am sorry. What is the story here? A mafia has been eliminated.
I agree.
A mafia has been eliminated. I am sorry. Asad के लिए सब छाती पीट रहे हैं. आपको मालूम है असद ने 2 पुलिस वाले भी मार दिए. उसके लिए किसी ने छाती नहीं पीटी. किसी ने छाती नहीं पीटी. किसी ने छाती नहीं पीटी. You know, असद के लिए सबकी नानी मर रही है. असद के लिए नानी मर रही है. Do we know? I want to know, Shiv.
No sympathy.
2 constables have been killed. How many
Who
on
is
this panel?
I don't.
What
did I begin with? I would prefer an
I don't think.
No.
How many on this panel? How many on this panel know the names of the 2 constables who were killed by Assad and Guddu Muslim?
No, that's a fair point. I want
to know.
The point I'm making
Does
now...
anybody on this panel know the name of the 2 constables who were killed?
I do, because I just did the story, but that's not the point. Let's just go
I'll tell you
beyond
what's the point. I'll tell you what's the point. The point is, because it's an Assad, because it's a Atiq Ahmed, everyone is going to raise these issues.
No, it's not because of that.
I just want to come back. It's a celebration that needs to
be
If I haven't done shouting at, can I just come back?
A constable Raghavendra were neutralized by these elements. They were killed while defending Umesh Pal, who's an eyewitness in a murder case. Rajupal murder case.
I want to hear from Akshita and Poulomi also, before coming back to the
When we talk about the religion, Gaurav, do you care whether the victim was Hindu or Muslim?
No.
So therefore, what we're all saying, that is what we're saying.
When that Vikas Dubey fellow was neutralized.
No, but you know, the Jai Shri Ram may have been coming from one particular quarter.
So
it wasn't the overwhelming sense of it, was it?
But she's just condemning
Yeah,
that.
no, I think
saying it's an overwhelming
any communal
sentiment.
color, I think any communal color to the killing of a gangster should be outrightly condemned. I personally think so as well. But the fact is, it isn't just Muslim gangsters who've been neutralized. Like on my show, I had a full graphic listing out the many encounter killings that have happened in Uttar Pradesh in the last couple of years.
Nobody's condemning
the
killing of a gangster and neutralizing of a
dragging in
gangster.
relationship, whether it's the victim or the accused. We're not dragging it. I think the message is we shouldn't either.
Yeah.
I think all of us are
The debate today is about whether it was a fake encounter
How
or not.
conveniently Jai Shri Ram is introduced to divert from the fact that Assad has been killed. That is how a debate is derailed by an ecosystem. Then you bring in a Jai Shri Ram so that the debate becomes about Jai Shri Ram and not about Assad and Atiq Ahmed, mafia empire of 4 decades.
This is manipulation.
Guys,
It's
I'll tell you
classic
what.
manipulation.
Let's keep
You dig yourself into a hole, you bring in Jai Shri Ram,
No,
and then
you
want
brought
to
in
turn
Jai
it
Shri
around.
Ram. There was no place for Jai Shri Ram. This is about
But it
Assad
has
being neutralized.
happened.
Assad
You yourself
neutralized.
said what's
But
wrong
that is
in bringing
exactly
it
how
up.
the ecosystem
You
works.
yourself said what's wrong in
You did not even
bringing
know
it
the
up.
names of the police constables who were killed because no sympathy for policemen. Sympathy only for Assad.
That's not fair. That's not
And
fair.
just because
It's
somebody
not
can
to
shout
question
us
away.
down.
No, everyone's going to have their say.
Yeah.
Preeti respond, then
No,
I'll go
let
to Poulomi.
Poulomi say because she hasn't
Poulomi,
got a
go
word
ahead,
in.
go ahead.
No, the question over here is not, nobody's sympathizing with the neutralizing of a gangster, Gaurav. That is not the question over here. The question is, as Shiv was pointing out, of course, that will be a matter of investigation, whether this was staged or fake or whatever. We can all see some of the facts for us. We can see the photographs. We can make our judgments, everything. But it will be part of an investigation. The question is about the celebration, the fact that we're condoning, if at
When
all, this
evil
sort
is
of
destroyed,
encounters
there
are
is
Talk without
celebration.
being interrupted.
When evil is
Let
destroyed,
her finish.
the
Gaurav, I'll come
good
to you.
celebrate. You
Gaurav,
know-
I'll come to you. Let her finish. Let her finish.
Can I also make
We have
a
time.
small point?
We
You
have
know
time.
why is Diwali celebrated?
Let her
Because
finish,
evil
Gaurav. I'll
is
come to you.
destroyed and Lord Ram comes home.
Celebrate when justice is delivered in the way that it should be. There is a process to it.
Yes, but that does
If
not mean
this
that
is how
every
it's going to
encounter is
happen,
fake.
I
if
want
this is
to
how
ask,
it's going to happen,
every
these
encounter
quick
is not
fixes,
fake. Do
these
not
quick
move.
fixes,
Who is saying
it's
that?
very
You know,
problematic. If we
Amazing the
start
building of fake
condoning
narrative in
it's
this
problematic.
discussion. Nobody
Whether
has a
it's
problem
fake-
with that.
Whether it's a fake or a real encounter, we will know soon, Gaurav. Our point is simply this. Just as you said, we shouldn't cast aspersions. Similarly, we shouldn't celebrate it.
I'm also
Right?
wondering.
There's a rule of law.
Why not
What is there
celebrate
to celebrate?
this
An exchange of
evil-
gunfire. What is there to
Evil
celebrate?
being destroyed
What is
is
there
to
to
be
celebrate?
celebrated.
One second. The evil can be destroyed if he was arrested. Right? That you celebrate.
Had he not
is there a
opened
rule
fire,
of law in place?
had he not opened fire
So is
according
that
to the
something to
police,
celebrate?
I will
Celebrate
evil being destroyed.
that
to celebrate.
finally in the Umesh Pal kidnapping case of 2006, the first time Atiq Ahmed with over 100 cases over him
Can I just make a
stands
small point,
convicted.
guys?
The
Because-
process of law finally caught up with him.
Imagine
Celebrate
it
that
didn't,
moment.
It didn't for 4
Yes,
decades,
but because
and that did
you-
not outrage anyone. But
Why
outrage
will it
happens
outrage?
now
Because the
when an
process of
encounter
law was
takes place.
followed over there.
Small
For
point.
decades, no outrage. That why Atiq Ahmed hasn't been brought to book.
Small point that I want to make, which is that, and this is a question for all of you guys, and see what you think. Is it less about whether celebrating is right or wrong? Certainly narrative building and communal stuff should absolutely not be allowed when it comes to law enforcement and anti-terror operations, anti-gangster operations. I am wondering whether any kind of organic triumphalism, and there was a lot of it on social media. There were a lot of people who are not politicians, who are not IT cell members, who are not owing allegiance to any one side, who are happy about this, who are organically happy and celebrating and clapping.
No, but this
Normal
is the
Indians.
sentiment that Gaurav is sharing, of good over evil.
Is it more, not just about good over evil, but about the dwindling sense of faith in Indian law enforcement? The other day, Jagdish Titler has been summoned to give his voice sample. 39 years. 39 years after the damn anti-Sikh pogrom in Delhi. So in Indian minds, maybe, when they see something like this, which is technically wrong, nobody should ever support encounter killings that are extrajudicial of any kind. But in the mind, it seems like,
It's instant
for
justice.
God's sake, justice does not move in this country. How do I support something that, doesn't take it head on? I'm just wondering if that's what this is about.
Absolutely, that's
not
what
the
this is
IT cells.
about.
Forget about the IT cells.
Remember the case in Telangana, the Disha rape case,
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
Telangana police
Yes.
was
And
then
that encounter
forced,
there,
it was
yes.
adjudged that this was a fake encounter.
Normal people were applauding that. You remember that?
Yes, exactly.
Flower petals were showered
Yeah,
at that point
yeah,
of time.
yeah,
We
yeah.
held so many debates that should there be celebrations at the back of it,
Yeah.
because whether it was extrajudicial, whether it was a fake staged encounter was a matter of investigation. But should there have been flower petals, should there have been celebrations? We all sat down in newsrooms and we discussed that.
We just
and
go after
can
the
I just
lowest common
finish?
denominator.
Yeah, let him finish.
It's just,
Let
let
him
me, instead of being shouted down, let me allow to just make one point. So the sheer fact, when in 2019 we sat and held multiple debates very objectively and not subjectively, saying that wrong to celebrate, can we have kangaroo courts? Yes, this man has 100 cases against him. Yes, this man was belligerent enough not to even cover his face. He wanted to prove a point that it was him who was involved in the Umesh Pal murder case. He's been caught on CCTV. Yes, but there is a due process of law
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
if the STF and the UP police say that, they were in a position where they had to fire first, I believe the UP police.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, I would any day want the bullet be taken by a dreaded gangster than any
But
cop
yes.
or an STF. Okay, let me finish.
Yeah, okay.
Then any personnel of the STF police, any day. Having said that, like in 2019, we sat down in studios and questioned, should there have been celebrations and self-congratulations at that point of time? I will do the same now objectively, and I would hope
okay.
everybody else will.
Gaurav.
So we go after the lowest common denominator, and that's that poor constable on the street. You hang him or you praise him. That's not the point. If your system is rotten, you sort out the system. If your judiciary is unable to dispense justice in time, then you sort that out instead of holding kangaroo courts. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happens. Kangaroo courts are held whether the police are guilty or not guilty, and that is not permitted. There is due process of law in this country, and follow the due process of law. The Supreme Court has given guidelines for an encounter. The policeman cannot be put in a dock every time there's been an encounter because there's been an encounter. There is a body to check. There are guidelines to check. If that system has happened, then it's a genuine encounter.
When encounters happen, do investigations happen about them?
Absolutely. Magisterial inquiry happens because that's the law of this land.
Because
None of us have declared it to be a fake encounter. We're not saying that. You know, the point that you made, Shiv, the reality is that today if you go home right now, and in most homes in Uttar Pradesh, they'll be praising Yogi Adityanath, saying he's making our streets safer.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's making it so much safer by ensuring instant justice. Right? You can agree with that sentiment because you can understand it to some extent, or you can say and have an educated view about it, saying you know the law, you know how things work, and how far can this go if we start, you know, shooting down criminals. Disha case, you know, obviously everyone overwhelmingly was for what happened.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help, you know, you can't go by sentiments.
I just want to caution all of us to say that we still don't know whether this was extrajudicial. We don't know that only a magisterial inquiry can come out, because there is a section that is portraying this whole thing as being a merciless execution of these two people. It might well be, but all I'm saying is that can only come out in an inquiry.
Which is why we're saying don't celebrate, don't cast aspersions, don't do either.
Yeah.
So, at the same time, it's wrong to put the police in the dock each time, because each time you put the police in the dock, the constable is scared to pick up his weapon.
But how are you putting them in the dock? By an investigation? No, right?
No, hear me out. When the parliament was attacked, those were Pakistani terrorists who moved into your parliament, and they were attacking the temple of your democracy. I'm sorry if somebody thinks that calling our parliament temple of democracy may be considered communal by some. But when the temple of our democracy was targeted, the CRPF constable was hesitating in firing back until he got an express command from his officer, I am telling you, fire. That should never happen in our country. You know, instinctively you see evil. The constable should know I'm doing the right thing. If he's doing the wrong thing, hang him. But if he's doing the right thing, he should not hesitate.
Do you think the only way to resolve all of this is an investigation? I can't remember an investigation ever resolving what has happened in an encounter. Is that what you think the problem is?
No, I don't think an investigation after the incident has happened is going to resolve anything.
Gaurav
it's
said
a systemic failure that we're talking about,
with an investigation, you're putting the onus on the police, and that will affect future operations.
See, the whole thing of bringing it down, it's the poor constable, it's not about that. I'm talking about a systemic failure which you were referring to earlier, Shiv. The fact is, why is it that people today are celebrating, so to say, or applauding what happened? Because nobody, I don't think so, anybody in Uttar Pradesh or anybody who's faced the wrath and, you know, the kind of terror of Atiq in Prayagraj or otherwise in those parts of central Uttar Pradesh, they have any doubt in their mind that this guy and his those who were in cahoots with him needed to face the law. We're just questioning as to whether this is how you want justice delivered. So the time when on February 24th, Umesh Pal gets brutally killed in broad daylight, is caught on CCTV cameras. Question marks are raised on Yogi Adityanath's law and order and the implementation of law and order on the ground. The mafia is out there killing people, and suddenly you're delivering justice and you're turning the tide.
But why is there this narrative that, you know, the wheels of justice haven't turned against the Atiq Ahmed family? He's in Sabarmati jail. One of his brothers is in Bareilly jail. Another is in Lucknow jail.
He has been brother and wife are absconding. I have a friend
this particular son was involved, caught on camera in the Umesh Pal killing. Believe me, I am not for a moment justifying anything that has happened, because we don't know what happened yet. All I'm saying is, why is the tone of some conversations already assume that something wrong has been done? This guy was a wanted guy in a murder that's been caught on camera. The police were chasing him as part of an investigation. He's wanted.
But Shiv, one second. So who is saying that something wrong has been done other than political parties, number one? Number two, when you say we don't know yet, it's extrajudicial. Yes, it's extrajudicial. Whether it's hear me out.
It's not extrajudicial if it's not
it has to be a fake. No. What has to be investigated, it is extrajudicial because
It's an encounter with criminals.
Hear me out.
A person who's
Hear me
wanted, in a crime.
No, it is extrajudicial in terms of the narrative of it, in terms of the way it has proceeded. What is a matter of investigation is whether it's a fake encounter or not.
But
What
I'm
is
saying if
extrajudicial?
people are
Anything which happens.
if people are celebrating something without knowing whether it is fake or real, isn't that less about extrajudicial and more about faith in law and order?
Yeah,
Because
of
we
course,
still
of
don't
course,
know what it
Of course,
is.
of course. That's exactly what I was trying to point out, that this is about where the executive, where the legislature, where the judiciary should actually be performing their responsibilities,
Yeah.
but they're actually finding these quick fixes to turn the tide. So while, like I said, Yogi Adityanath immediately got questioned about law and order in Uttar Pradesh when Umesh Pal gets killed in broad daylight, and he's turning the tide immediately saying, look, I delivered justice. So everyone's forgotten that Umesh Pal did get killed.
Yeah.
Look,
In
the-
broad
There was a
daylight.
law and order problem there.
No, and the
with that
reality
itself.
the reality is, let's just face it, for 4 decades, there's been nothing done about this man or his family.
Yeah.
He's gotten away with about 100 plus cases with no action at all. Right now, you're at least seeing action against Atiq Ahmed. He's in jail, he's scared. His family, many of them are on the run right now. So whatever, we talk about the encounter and all of that, and obviously that's something that needs to be investigated, which will be also, as is always the case in these kind of encounters and these kind of shootings. My only point is that nobody can take away from the fact that finally you're seeing a gangster and a much needed crackdown against him, which hasn't happened for so long now.
India certainly has no place for fake encounters, and we all agree that an investigation needs to happen so that all the facts of what happened in the killing of Asad Ahmed emerge. And we will discuss it further and ask all the questions as you've just seen here on the Democratic Newsroom. Thanks so much for watching.